Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview for Villa's game at Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday.
Villa.
Well, you do this week.
Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday. They're not in the best form, Dan. Villa, obviously, 7 unbeaten and then 1 loss, 1 draw. How do you see it going?
Again, tough. Suddenly, when you don't win for a couple, you always think everything's going to be tough, don't you? And the new manager for Sheffield Wednesday has come in, and I think he's solidified them a little bit. They're better defensively than they were before Caraval got the sack, but they're not exactly free scoring at the moment. So again, like I said in the Preston game, I don't see there being many goals, but it's certainly a winnable game. It's a different proposition to when we played them at Hillsborough on the first game of last season. At this point of filming, Bruce hasn't had the press conference, so we're not sure of the injury situation, but I believe that Jack and Adoma won't be there. Andre Green either. Obviously Codger and Davis has now picked up a knock as well. Let's hope there's not any more that we don't know about, because that always seems to happen. Another one sneaks in that you don't know about, but we'll have to be better than we were the last 2 games. Otherwise again, we won't win.
Yeah, Keenan Davis, you mentioned there. Is there a chance that he'll play, or is he ruled out? Do we know?
I don't know how long. I think he's got a twisted ankle, so I don't know how long that rules you out for. I'd imagine as the game was only Tuesday, he's probably not going to make it. But then I wouldn't have thought he'd have started anyway, Davis. So be a chance for someone else to step up to the bench. A lot of calls for O'Hare to be involved. I'd imagine you'll see him in the 18 now. Such is the amount of injuries that we have. Obviously, we've spoke about him a lot in the podcast, so go back and check that out if you haven't done already. But yeah, it's a winnable game for sure, but we certainly need to be better than we have been, and we need to switch on a bit more defensively, because we've made a couple of errors in the last 2 games, and if you make errors you get punished, and it's going to be harder to win. But we need to be a bit more free-flowing coming forward as well, although they're more resolute now. They're sitting back. That's often the kind of game we do kind of struggle in.
Well, it feels to me like for the first time in 2018 it's the most open team sheet that we've seen. You know, there seems to be selection dilemmas all over the park, really. You're only really looking at your centre-backs, your left-back, and then everything else is pretty much up for grabs. How many changes do you think you'll see from Bruce this week?
I think right-back's probably up in the air, because I think he'll be keen to probably get El Mohammadi in, and that would probably be my preference at right-back. As much as I was raving about Twanzebe after the Fulham game, where we were a lot more defensive, I'm expecting us to be more attacking in this game. So if we are to play more expansively, then El Mohammadi over Twanzebe makes sense, and you can rekindle that relationship down the right-hand side with Elmo and Snodgrass, who I would not be moving to the left because he's not happy there.
Yep.
There's no point hamstringing him and playing him left midfield, keep him in his best position at right midfield. It's the left flank that's the main problem at the moment, because everyone who can play there is injured. Bjarnason saying he's not a left midfielder.
And so, we've seen that, haven't we?
He's now a holding midfielder, it looks like, so he's not going to play there. I wouldn't want to shift Horahan out there, even though he's left-footed, because he's not a wide player. So for me now, Graben did quite well wide, albeit wide right, against Preston. He's come on and scored a penalty and put himself about and added a different dimension. He can play on the flank. At this point, I don't usually like playing people out of position, but at this point we're going to have to do that anyway with anyone, so I'd rather it was Graben.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. How do you think you've mentioned that it's going to be an attacking option. Who would be your choice to be our kind of lead attacking midfielder then? You've got obviously Onoma, you've got Horahan, who's playing a little bit deeper, but you've also got calls for Callum O'Hare to be playing. How do you see that one playing out?
I don't know what I'd do. In all honesty, the central midfield's a bit up in there. I'd definitely be playing Connor, and I think I'd probably definitely be playing Bjarnason in this game, whether it be in front of Jedinak or you put in Jedinak to the bench, because that'll be 3 games in a week for him, and I thought he looked a little bit off the pace.
A little bit leggy
against Preston, although he did get pulled off quite early against Fulham the game before, so he shouldn't be too tired. But I just thought that game, the Birmingham game when Jedinak came in, it was the ideal game. It suited him. I said for Fulham I'd have played Bjarnason there, but obviously we've got injuries all over the place, so they both played. If it were me, I'd probably play Bjarnason in the anchorman role and then have Connor and Onoma in front of him. People don't like Onoma, but there is a good player there, and central midfield is his position. That's where he wants to play, I believe, and he hasn't really played there
Do you think Sheffield Wednesday, that kind of game where they're being a little bit defensive, a bit like QPR were, this is the game where Onomah will get a bit of time and maybe an opportunity to shine?
He's a good footballer. Mm-hmm. He looks low on confidence at the moment. I think probably the fan reaction isn't helping.
Yeah.
With that, but he's played most of his football recently out on the left, which he's not a winger, so he's never going to be as effective out there because that's not his natural position. I mean, I said in the podcast that Jack being there, obviously it affects the team. We're not playing as well, but it affects the people that are playing in midfield and the link-up play as well. And you've got Doma on the left who's scored most of our goals. That's why I play Graben on the left, because I think he's capable of scoring goals from there. So in that situation, I'm not saying they're the same kind of player, but it's like for like in terms of they might nab you a goal. So I definitely have him there. But I think Bruce will probably play Jedinak, Bjarnason and Horahan. I would say Onomah or go to the bench, but that probably wouldn't be what I'd do.
And Hogan remains your target man at the moment, especially with Davis's injury, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's talk for the Graben could play there, I suppose, but then there's who's going to play on the left? Like, it's really difficult at the moment. The squad's very strong, but when you've got 4 players out who can play left midfield, it would cause anyone problems. That he's going to cause us a bit of difficulty. People say Hogan's done nothing for the last 2 games, but I'd argue, well, how many chances has he had? Not many. I've seen a lot of people say, actually, without Jack, there's no point playing Hogan, which I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but Connor and Snodgrass can pick a pass. So and Snodgrass has got a few assists for Hogan.
Bjarnason set him up against Fulham.
Yeah, so we've got players that can make chances still. So I'd persist with Hogan personally and play Graben on the left, but it could be that Graben plays up front.
Now, it's often a talking point in the Championship about the fixture congestion, but I think Sheffield Wednesday are really feeling it in the last. Well, they're currently in a spell which is 4 games in 11 days, which is tough for.
Have we not had the same though?
For any team? No, well, they've got an extra FA Cup game, so they're obviously playing us on.
But we played
Saturday.
There as well.
Yeah, but then the next week as well.
Oh, sorry, apologies.
Yeah, so they're in the middle of that right now, and their new manager, who you alluded to, can you say his name?
Josh Lukaku.
Luhuke, I believe.
You've even abbreviated it for me there on the paper, and I've still got it wrong.
I tried to phonetically spell it out for you. He's talked a lot recently about. It's been a bit tetchy with the Sheffield media because he hasn't been an instant success, and last week on Tuesday against Millwall, he played with no recognised striker, and he said he was mixing it up because his players aren't fit, and they're in such a tough time at the moment just to trying to get people fit, to give people rest. Sorry, that he had no choice about it. So it's a pretty hard one to kind of decipher what Sheffield Wednesday are going to do, because they've got Swansea in the Cup on the Tuesday after us.
I wouldn't imagine that's a priority.
I wouldn't have thought so. No, you're right. But would you expect? It's so hard to pick. If you don't play a striker on the Tuesday, are they going to? Do you think Lucas João scored a couple of goals for Sheffield Wednesday against Derby? I would expect him to come back in to that game.
Yeah, I mean, speaking from watching Villa try and play without a striker away at Derby, I wouldn't suggest that Championship teams try and go in that direction.
Yeah.
Unless you're a Barcelona or a Chelsea or someone like that, I don't think you can be playing with false nines. Or Liverpool, they obviously play very effectively with a false nine. I wouldn't suggest the rough and tumble of the Championship is the right place for a false nine.
Yeah, well, last time Lucas João played, he scored twice against Derby, and Gary Rowett said he was unplayable. So he's obviously going to be a danger man if he comes up against Villa. We have waxed lyrical about James Chester and John Terry throughout this season, and nobody should be causing them too much concern. Do you think they'll get back to their best form this weekend coming?
Hopefully. I mean, Terry didn't have his best game in midweek, especially for the first half. He gave the ball away. I think that could have cost us at one point, but people make mistakes. It's just the difference is when John Terry makes a mistake, I don't think the fans particularly say anything. Whereas if Onomah's to give the ball away, he'll get absolutely slaughtered at the moment because he's not flavour of the month at the moment. Terry and Chester, you'd think would be able to handle a physical player better than someone that's going to get in behind. Chester handles most things that come his way, but that's Terry's bread and butter, isn't it? If João's a physical player, that's his absolute bread and butter. So Yeah, I mean, you've got down there, they've only lost once in the last 6 at home, and that was to Birmingham, and I saw those goals. They're all gifts. So that we can be hopeful that Sheffield Wednesday might offer us similar presence on Saturday.
Well, what about the other end, though? Sam Johnston didn't play his best against Preston. Obviously had a bit of a shocker in that one scenario against Fulham. How do you expect him to bounce back away at Sheffield Wednesday?
Possibly be easier for him being away from home, because he's unlikely to hear, if there is any uneasiness in the crowd, he's unlikely to hear it. They've got a good atmosphere at Hillsborough as well. Their home fans are pretty good, so it probably suits him at the moment being away from home. The one thing I will say is he made 2 mistakes, but every time he made the mistake, the next moment of play, he made a good save.
Yeah.
So keepers make mistakes and they're highlighted, and as I said in the podcast, if he's made 2 in 2 now. The worry is that last season he probably made 3 in 3 at one point, so it's obviously he went on a streak of mistakes last season. We could do without that happening.
Yeah.
But overall he's been our most consistent performer.
Yeah.
Sam Johnston, so I'm not worried about him. He's kept us in enough games this season and made such a positive contribution that I can let him off 2 errors.
So Josh Luhaki, I'm sure I'm not saying that right.
There's no way he'll be right, Tom.
Luhaki.
That definitely wasn't right.
But you don't know, do you?
No, but I know that wasn't right.
He's got similarities, kind of parallels with our own Steve Bruce. He seems to be the Bruce of Germany. Has got similar promotions with Hertha Berlin, Borussia Mönchengladbach and Augsburg as well. Got them all up from Bundesliga 2 to
that's why he's been hired, isn't it? They're not going to go this season, but in the long term, that's why he's been hired.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously we've seen it with Bruce, who's done it at Championship level. It's interesting to see those characters in other leagues as well. How far off Sheffield Wednesday do you think are off that? How far off do you think Sheffield Wednesday are from not only playoffs but actually being a contender in the Championship?
I mean, I thought they'd probably be up there this season just because they've been in the playoffs the last two years, but they've fallen away this year. And Caravel was probably a victim of his own success, a little bit, and then he's gone to Swansea and worked miracles since he's gone there. They've got some decent players. Obviously, they're going to be well off it this season, but they're a good club. I always look at them as they're a team that were in the Premier League when I was a young lad, but the coach obviously isn't happy with the fitness. I mean, that's one thing the German coaches do demand. They like the players to be fit. So if they're nowhere near, then I imagine they're going to be in for a treacherous pre-season. And I can only liken it to Huddersfield under Wagner, where he just completely restructured the whole side in the summer, brought in a lot of players from Germany and abroad, got them playing in a certain way, got them fit, and he got them up. So maybe your next season you'll see the best of them. But even if you're a promotion specialist in Germany, there's no guarantees that you're going to be the same in England.
No, it's completely different, isn't it? All right, then, let's have a look at the team. You've already kind of gone through yours. Do you want to just lay it out for us? Let's go. So
this is what I think Bruce will do.
Yeah, formation.
So I think Johnston will be in goal. El Mohammadi right back, left back Hutton, man of the match on Tuesday in my opinion. Chester and Terry, and I've suddenly just now had a thought that Twanzebe might get put in midfield. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. So go with Twanzebe in midfield with. I've changed my mind about Josh. I'm going to go Twanzebe, Burker, and Connor.
This is how the studio goes.
As the midfield.
Say that again. Sorry.
So Twanzebe is the anchor man, and then Burker and Connor in front of them, and then Snodgrass on the right, Grabban on the left, and Hogan up front. Yeah, I'll go with that. I wouldn't be adverse to that selection.
I don't disagree with any of that, apart from maybe Twanzebe. But is Whelan now in the wilderness?
A little bit, yeah, it would seem so.
Yeah.
But he's still played a lot of football this season. He started a lot of games in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think you definitely won't be seeing him on Saturday.
No.
He'll be on a bench.
Yeah.
But I don't think you'll be seeing him on Saturday.
I think I agree with all of yours. The only change would be Jedinak in for Twanzebe, but I do.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's Twanzebe. He's probably the best of both. With Jedinak and because he's big and powerful, he's got decent distribution, but he's very athletic. So you kind of get both with him in the anchorman role.
And that's where Bruce and Mourinho and the fans.
That's where I thought he was coming into play.
That's where people want to see him playing as well, isn't it? So that is an interesting proposition. Where do you see the score line going?
I've not even thought about a prediction, which is bizarre considering I know that we do a prediction every show. Do you want to go first while I have a think?
Oh, blimey.
Gives you a chance to not say, oh, he said the same as me, because that always happens.
That's true.
I'm going
to go for a 2-1 Villa win. I think we're going to go 2-0 up, and then they'll score, but it'll be a kind of 75 to 85 minute goal, and we'll just ride out the rest of the game. But Graben's going to grab the first. I don't think that's been used before.
Oh, kind of been. I'm going to go 1-0 Villa.
Yeah?
Yeah, 1-0, hopefully a clean sheet. And I will go for the goal scorer of... I'm going to go for Graben as well. I'm going to copy you.
Ah.
Yeah, I'll go for Graben.
Nice.
He's one of the few that I'm almost certain in my head that will play. Graben, so that's one of the other reasons.
Yeah,
because I'm not sure about... Like the team I've come up with, I could be way off here. I don't know anything. I could be absolutely way off. There's a lot... When you're on a bad run, there's a temptation to make changes, I imagine, and I don't say bad. It seems silly to say a bad run because we haven't won for 2 games when we won the 7 previous, but it's the injuries.
Yeah.
If we'd have lost and drawn the last 2 with our fully fit side, I still don't think he'd be making any changes, but he might feel that he hasn't found the right remedy for Grealish and Adoma missing, and try something else to try and get it right.
Which is equally as dangerous, isn't it, sometimes?
It's a tough situation to be in. It really is. It's not ideal. It's not come at a good time for us, those injuries at all.
Yeah, and for Bruce personally, as we
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, I'll do the outro, let you do it in the podcast, and I don't think you were at your best with it, if I'm being honest. So if you have enjoyed this preview, then give it a big old thumbs up on YouTube, and we'll try and get as many likes as possible. Comment below with your predictions on how you think the game's going to go and your team selection, see if you can decipher what you think is going to happen any better than we have. If you haven't watched the podcast that we should have been released this morning, then go back and check that out. We're both quite pleased with the podcast this week, weren't we?
Jovial.
Sometimes we come away and we're not overly happy with how it's gone, but the last 2 we've come away very happy. So check the podcast out. Considering
it was a week where we only picked up 1 point from 6, it was a fairly buoyant podcast.
Yeah, so check that out if you haven't watched it already. That's available on YouTube, iTunes and SoundCloud. If you're not already subscribed with your post notifications on, and if you could do that, that would be wonderful. We've picked up a lot of new subscribers recently, so welcome. If you are a new subscriber and you tell all your friends about us, then we'll get as many subscribers as we can and grow the channel. All the best to those travelling to Hillsborough on Saturday. Be magnificent like you always are. Stick with the channel, stick with the Villa, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.